All right, man. We're doing it again. Number seven. Let's just get right into it. Where did we leave off? Talked about last was stationary stuff, I think. I had to get it out of my system. I had to, and I did. So now we're here. Okay. Yeah, I think we were at the end of the first semester, fall 23, and I was like, it's like struggling with a lot of like the work, but I think at the same time it was like flying by, and there was just like so much new stuff going on in terms of my environment, and being around a bunch of teenagers and being on some beautiful Ivy League campus, and just everything that sort of went with that and made me feel really insecure. And I mean, imposter syndrome all up and down. So then we're getting towards finals, but like I think I'm doing well, and that kind of made me feel good. I was like, man, I actually got to the end of one of these things. And then all that test anxiety started coming back because it's finals. This isn't just a quiz or a midterm. This is it. And I'm just like, I'm going to fail every final, all the work out the window. I'm going to get F's all up and down. They're going to kick me out of the school. I mean, all of that stuff. And I started, what I needed to do was sort of step back a little bit and be like, look, let's, we got to take a look at what's really actually happening. And I let myself kind of feel good about some things, which I never really do. It's way out of character for me to feel good about anything. So I was like, you got through all this. Like there's no turning these grades back. Like you got them, all these papers and, tests and just your current grade up to now in these classes. So I'm like, feel good about that. And then another thing, I like zooming further out than just school, just like all around life stuff. I didn't think I was gonna have the energy to be able to focus and get it done. But I mean, I'm in bed at anywhere between 9:30 and 11. There were some nights I was up till midnight where I'm like, I just got to cram for this test, or I really need to just like push it to get this paper done. But in bed early, which historically I just have never been able to do, in bed before midnight or 1 or 2. I'm like, that's for people who are 140. But I'm 140 now. No. But I was 41. It might as well be that old, you guys. That's where we're at. So I'm up 5:30, 6 latest, which I know for anyone right now is like, yeah, that's called having a normal life. Well, guess what? I have not had a normal life for 20 plus years. My work at night, I travel, I get up at crazy hours sometimes when I have to fly. Other days it's like I'm up late, so I sleep in late. I'm still trying to get my 8 hours. Mine's just different than yours. My mornings, my days, all that stuff. So I got this like window into what traditional regular hours are like, and it was like peeking into another dimension of life. I didn't know subways got that crowded. When people were like, oh yeah, morning rush hour on the train, in my head I'm like, yeah, like 10:30 in the morning, right? Because I've had to go do like XM radio shows and stuff that are at like 10 a.m. and I'm like, yeah, I guess it's kind of busy. Dude, 7 8 a.m. subway, that is sardines in a can. Awful. And it's a whole different type of person. It's people going to offices, they're wearing suits, they're in like work clothing, they have a look on their face of just like, I'm tired, I don't want to be doing this. It's not just like people going to get lunch or doing whatever, and then they're working in the afternoon, or they work in the arts, so their schedules, or they kind of make them up and stuff. That's a different look, that's a different type of clothing, different demeanor, the whole deal. This is like 9 to 5ers, and in a way I'm like doing that, and I noticed while I was getting into the weeks, I'm like, I'm not tired. This is weird. I'm getting most of the sleep, and then I'm like on the some weekends I'm off doing shows and stuff, and like I'm not really catching up on sleep. But then I was like, this is just people's every day, every week, and there's that there's that voice that's like, you just push through and do it, because this isn't special. This is just like what people do. So seeing that I had the energy for it, and being able to see both sides of the sort of like work and life world, like the one I've been living, and then the traditional like track, I was getting insane amounts of stuff done before 10 a.m. I thought I was the most productive person on the planet. And then I'm like, well, this is just what probably everyone does. But you couldn't tell me that, for the first 4 or 5 weeks when I was looking back on it. I was just like, man, at this rate, I'm going to run for president of the world. That's how productive I felt I was being, all because I'm getting up at 5:30. But anyway, I let myself feel good about that, because I just didn't think that was in me. I thought I was just going to gas out and just like, oh, I can't, but I found a place. I found a way to do it. And again, like I was saying a couple episodes ago, I'm the age I was when my parents moved here, or my dad, at least he's older than my mom. So I'm like, if he was able to find the energy for that and just go through the stress, no money, no English language, new country, all that stuff, I was like, I'm just going to do it. And it was hard. Getting through that semester was so hard. Arabic, hardest class I've ever taken, and I speak a dialect of it. It was so hard. The workload, the reading, the relentless just push to like, you need to get these things done in not enough time, and just piling on, the workload was crazy. From other people I've overheard or talked to that went to other, really intense schools, they were like, this is more than I've seen and dealt with. There's people like coming back to, for grad school and whatever else, or they transferred in from like, whatever, Georgetown or Cornell or whatever. And so, yeah, they were like, oh, this is hard. And I was just like, dude, I can't believe I'm keeping up at all. But Columbia has like a writing center that you can like, and it's all part of the, tuition. Like, you can take anything you're writing and you take it into the writing center, make appointments, and you go over whatever you're doing, ask questions. They work on you, with like structure and your arguments, and you have like, and then all these people are grad students and stuff, and they know what they're doing, but you get a lot of like guidance and stuff, and then they have tutors for everything else, so like they're trying to help you succeed and stuff, and I didn't utilize that stuff like the first part of the first semester. Most of the first semester, forget the first part. I went to the writing center a couple times, but there were more resources there, but that's just that like stubborn, like, I gotta figure it out. Doesn't count unless I figure it out. But like, and that took me a long time to do with comedy. Like, it's fine to ask for help. It's fine to ask for, you can still get something. It still counts as an achievement if you have help. It's just, I know that's obvious. It just took me a long time to accept that but like all those things made me a better, when I started asking for help, or like whatever word you want to use, collaborating, guidance, like any one of those words. It's what's happening behind the word is like, you are working together, you're learning from each other, and then you're able to like, you're still achieving the thing on your own, but it's, try telling yourself that when you're in a sort of a, I got to do it on my own, or it doesn't count, stubborn mindset. But, I got to the end, and I got all A's and a B plus in Arabic. I thought I was going to get the A, but I'm telling you, it's so hard. So I got on the dean's list, which I didn't think that was going to happen, or I just thought that was for like super genius, like ultra high achievers or whatever. But I did well enough. and I got on the dean's list, which was pretty awesome. And I mean, I'm telling you, like, I've never seen or done anything like that, like growing up. Just like the idea of getting on any list that wasn't like a you're a bad about to get suspended list, you know, that was really new to me. And I'm telling you, I just let myself feel good about it for a week, and we'd winter break and stuff, and then, but yeah, I mean, like that getting up early and just getting stuff done is, you feel like you're like, I could be CEO of 20 Fortune 500 companies. That's how productive I feel, even though I'm like barely doing anything. I felt that way. And now I'm like addicted to, being up early, even on the days I don't need to be. Here and there, I'll let myself sleep till like, and if it's like 9 feels late, 10 a.m. feels late. It's so weird. It's so weird to be that person. But yeah, I like it more than I thought in that sense, like the getting stuff done and just finding time. Like there's that old saying, who knows who said it, but if you want to get something done, give it to a busy person, because they are always on the move and they're in that mode of just like, prioritizing, compartmentalizing, just finding time, hyper scheduling, and then just getting all these little things done. I never have done that on that level with all the classwork, and then, writing, and then being on the road and all that stuff. Just making all that work just before you start, it just feels like it's not going to work. It's not going to be possible. And I'm more of like focus on a couple things deeply and get them done. But I really learned to just juggle stuff. And I wasn't even good at that. Like when I was like, back when I was waiting tables, I mean, I would like just zero in on 2 tables out of like the 6 I had. And then I'm like, oh yeah, they still only have water. I got to totally take their order. And like lunch is almost over. They got to be back in the office. The amount of people that were patient for that, good Lord. I don't know that I would have been if I was there, if I was my own waiter, dude. But yeah, man, getting stuff done and getting up early, that's where it's at. So yeah, got great grades that first semester, and then we head into the second semester. I'm gonna put in more info in these. I don't want to do too many like mini episodes on these. Really, I want to get back to like normal sort of like current timeline and just do regular podcast episodes. I guess that's one thing that did take a backseat for a while was the podcast. Because partly that's talking about the goings on in my life, but I was like, I'm not ready. I don't want to, be public with that. I don't know that I can do this. I was still thinking that, but so then looking at the spring semester 24, I was like, obviously I have to take Arabic again. And then I took this amazing class called Technology and U.S. Politics. We went from the telegraph to the internet, and then how all those technologies sort of upended American society, and how politics either influenced them or the American government influenced these technologies, and then how they sort of affected the country and the world. And still probably my favorite class I've taken. The professor was awesome. And it was another one where it was at 10 in the morning. I'm like, am I going to be able to like process all this? And thanks to the professor's like enthusiasm and energy that early, I was like, yeah. And then the lectures were just amazing. I learned so much. It really made me want to like go deeper into like history, probably major in history. Arabic was just as hard, but I didn't make the mistake of not getting a tutor. I found one, and they're part of the tuition. You have to pay for them. I mean, right. You know what I mean? So I got a tutor, and I looked at the schedules, and I found one that had a lot of openings, and I made 2 a week for 13 weeks. And there were some weeks where that wasn't possible. It was, you can only do 1, but minimum 1 or 2 a week, every single week. And oh man, it helps to get help. These are like shocking revelations for me. And you're like, yeah, we know, moron. So yeah, helps to get help, man. Getting help is helpful. it's helpful to be helped. It helps. So yeah, I did better in Arabic. Things were just getting processed easier. And then I took a intro to philosophy class, and thinking that was going to count as a core requirement. And I would have probably done it anyway, but it didn't. But it was still good that I took it. Love philosophy. So that one was really cool. And that was like an interesting semester, and that now I know I can do it at least once. Will I be able to do it again? And what happened the second semester, like pretty early on, I lost some work on the road. There were just some scheduling things, couple of gigs fell through, and I was already just like, teetering, and I was trying to pay down my credit card because it was just starting to get up there in the interest, and I was like, if this is going to get out of control if I don't do something. And I knew I had work coming later, so then I had to do another thing, which I just have not done in a long time. Was actually, I've never done this, but I started walking dogs. And I mean, the feeling of just like being like, I have to get like some side job that's not something I would want to do, like, freelance writing and things like that. I love that. But yeah, I'm like, oh man, I gotta start walking people's dogs, I needed something super flexible, just make quick money, make your own hours. You can do it in between studying or anywhere in town really that you're in. If I'm near school, if I'm in Brooklyn. And the feeling of it was a similar feeling to like deciding to go back to school, and like what I thought that implied, like I'm failing and all these different things, or like my career isn't what I want it to be and stuff. All that stuff was there, man. And it really made me feel just like such a loser. And I had to snap out of it, because I'm like, I'm not above work. I do it within my career, within stand-up and comedy. I do stuff I don't want to do because I need the money. So I'm like, you know what? Who cares? Like, I just need it. So, and if I can't travel to do it, if I can't take gigs during the week that I need, then I'll walk people's dogs. There's no barrier for entry. Like, it's been so long since I've waited tables. I was probably not going to find something right away. And I'd have to really be able to make my own hours and say no for weekend things when road work is there. So it's just wasn't going to work. And I was just like, man, I got to start walking dogs. And then it like started feeling worse in other ways, because like you have to set your rate so low. It's embarrassingly low. It's like inhumane low. And I signed up for Rover and Wag, and I was like, all right, how many, I'm looking at what people charge or what I've actually paid to have people like look after the dogs before. And if you don't have reviews, you're not getting 20, 30, whatever, $40 a walk or something as like trusted walkers and drop-ins to visit the dog. No, you're not getting that. You are lowering it to 18, and then you're not getting that. Then you're lowering it to 15, 14, 13. My first Wag walk, I had to charge $9 for a 20-minute walk. And it's hard to stat. Well, you're thinking, oh, you just do like, 3 or 4 or 5 in an hour or two, and then sort of like that. It's not possible, because you got to get to the place. You got to go get the dog. It's not just 20 minutes. And then if you have to be able to find one like in the building next door, the same one. Sometimes they're 10, 15 minutes away. It's hard to do, 3 in an hour. You can't. And then hour after hour after hour, it's like, it sounds like you could make a bunch of money right away. So it was hard to get them. So I lowered it to like 9, and then on Rover, it was like 10 or 11 or something for like a half-hour walk. And I just needed to build up the the resume, I guess, like the proof that I could do this and look like a trusted dog walker, especially for like pet parents. They're not just going to let any random person who has 0 walks on their thing just, yeah, go take my dog out for $20. It's not even about the money. It's like, are they going to lose my dog or get him like run over by a car? So I understood, and I was reading Reddit stuff on dog walking and figuring out like, all right, how do I crack the system? What do I do? And all I saw was people complaining about having to have low rates, and they're like, it's not worth it. I'm not getting any walks. And I was like, well, it's got to be one or the other. You're either going to not do it, or you're going to lower your rates below what you think is, what's just like emasculating, and just suck it up and build up the resume and have it look like you've been doing this for a little bit, and then raise the rate. And there was that pride that you have where you're like, I don't want to do that. And you go, well, it's not about what you want. It's about what you have to do. And I lowered it, and I knew I wasn't going to get tips because people are cheap. And I just took anything that was coming my way. And it was slow at first, and then it started picking up. I got a couple like daily clients that this one lady paid really well and tipped on top of that. And it was like 7 days a week. And, but then on the other end of it, there was this lady who was just such an asshole. She was like, lived in a really, really nice building right in front of a park, so the premium on those is even higher on top of this, like super nice building, and had a family, and you could hear them and like going on, talking and whatever. And I was walking the dog, and then she asked if I could move off the app. She's like, you want to just do this on the side? And Rover has a policy where they go, hey, if we find out you're doing that, we're going to kick you off. And because sometimes I guess pet parents report people, and I was not going to be the one to do that, because you also then can't guarantee if you're like, yeah, Venmo me, and then they just don't, or they all of a sudden change their rate. Oh, I don't want to give you that. I'm giving you this because of X, Y, and Z reasons. So for all those reasons, I didn't want to. Then this lady asks if I want to, and I was like, yeah, I kind of just started doing this. I need to build up my walks. So that'd be a third reason not to. And she's like, oh yeah, I understand. Okay. Well, I'm just trying to get my rate lower and stuff. I'm like, lower than it is? What do you want to give me $4 to walk your dog, you lazy fuck? I'm like, you can walk, like, if you live in front of a park, you can walk your own dog, number one. I don't know how busy you think you are, but you can take your dog a few stories down and walk them. But whatever, I guess there was a husband, kids, a job, making dinner. I don't know. She didn't have 15 of her own minutes. But I'm like, well, if you don't have that, then guess what? You're going to have to pay someone to do it. And I don't know anybody who's walking your dog for like $8 or whatever you wanted to get it down to. So I just had to tell her, I was like, listen, she could look at me and see, like, I'm not just some like kid who's just going to be like, I look like an adult. I'm like, do you think I want to be doing this? Like, no. So I just told her, yeah, I can't. I have to have a minimum to make it worth it for me, I think, at this point. Cause I'm like, I've already lowered it more than I want to by a couple dollars. And so she's like, yeah, I understand. And then I think her whole thing was like just trying to find newer people with the lowest rates and then get them to bring it down. And so I wouldn't hear from her for like, a little bit. And then she'd come back and go, oh, I want to schedule more walks. I'm like, oh, so the new people you found also didn't want to, play your game of I'm a cheap asshole. And that had to be what it was. And she's like, it's hard to find someone reliable. And I'm like, yeah, you get what you pay for. If you're going to like get someone who's walking a dog for $6, like, guess what? They're not going to show up half the time because it's not worth it. I lived nearby, so I was able to walk. It wasn't like, oh, I got to jump on a train. It's going to take me 30 minutes. So, and And then she asked again. Because I told her, let's revisit this idea. So she asked again, and I was like, listen, I gotta just take, like, the walks, like, officially, because I need to build more. And I'm like, not everyone tips and this and that. I don't think I said that, but I said something about, like, I'm trying to find people that either meet this minimum and then the ones who tip. So then it makes it worth it. And then she had never tipped me before. So the very next walk, she tips me. I think she's trying to, like, I'll butter them up. I'm like, you're never going to do that. You're already trying to talk me further down. Like, I know the game you're playing. And then I didn't hear from her again for like a couple weeks. And then she was, again, probably trying to find someone who would do it cheaper. They bailed on her, I'm sure. Then she contacted me again and was like, hey, let's set up. And then she would want to book 2 weeks worth of walks. Cause I'm like, I'm reliable. I'm gonna show up when you say show up. I'm gonna walk your dog. Your dog's gonna come back in one piece. It's gonna come back happy. Like, I love dogs. I'm gonna do a good job. And then I started getting more walks on Rover because I was building my little resume up, and then I was able to prioritize people that were tipping. And then when she disappeared again and then came back, she was like, hey, I got some more. And I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. I got some new like clients. I'm prioritizing people who are paying more. And then I don't think she responded to that. And I just didn't hear from her again, which, good riddance, dude. Good riddance. It's just, you're making your own life more stressful by, like, cycling through all these walkers and then having them cancel last minute. Like, find a person who's reliable, and then that's worth a couple more dollars. She didn't want to do that. And she was just desperately trying to get it lower so she could, I don't know, never have to walk her own dog again. Why have a dog, dude? Like, I don't know. And also, don't you know how money works? You clearly have money. Don't you know how it works in commerce? Like, I don't know. So yeah, I stopped walking that lady's dog, but I started, like, getting more, and then that feeling of, like, just shame and whatever, it was gone, because I'm not above figuring it out and doing it that way. And then I just started finding enjoyment, and then it occurred to me again. I was like, man, I found the energy to fit in even more. I'm like, studying, and then take a study break to go walk a dog, run back, finish studying. And then I had the one that was like every evening. And that one was great. That one paid well, but then I had to, like, take a break to go do some road gigs, and then she ended up, like, finding someone else, and I just kind of fell out of touch there. And then, which was fine, because, like, summer was coming up and I was going to be, like, traveling and working and whatever. So, but yeah, man, that was a difficult semester in other ways for those reasons. And it just felt, I don't know, I felt further away from the life I'd been living in some ways. And I just had to remind myself, like, you're still who you are. You're just more now. I'm just doing more, and I'm doing more of what I want. And that's fine. Like, I'm reminding myself, like, the model has changed. You can do things differently, and you can still be and do what you want, and you just have more flexibility, and it just doesn't have to be one way. It's not the way it was when we started, where it's like you have to be on stage and only thinking about Kai 7 nights a week and all that stuff. And I've just learned to diversify and be better at it, like, physically and mentally, but also just, like, emotionally. And that was, like, a whole new set of challenges, and those had their own sort of, mountains I had to climb, because you would just find yourself, like, losing track of things, or just you're unable to kind of keep focus, and then all of a sudden papers are due, and you're just like, I need every extra minute, and just worrying about things, like, outside of, like, directly getting an assignment done, which was more, the fall semester. But that was what it was. It was just a new set of challenges that I had to get over. and they replaced some of the first semester back at school ones where I just felt uncomfortable. I was like, I don't have time to feel uncomfortable anymore. And that semester went great too. But yeah, we'll pick up the next one. I've been talking for 30 whole minutes. See you later.